Hey, what's going on, guys? It's John back with another video. And in today's video, what we're going to talk about is the dominant 5 chord. And I'm going to show you guys a suspended chord that you can use over your 5 chord to help you get around when you're doing your chord progression. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so the dominant 5 chord, okay, this particular dominant 5 chord is going to be a dominant 9, or in some cases it can be considered a dominant 13 chord, but ultimately it does function kind of as a suspended chord. So if you guys have watched my previous video on suspended chords, some of the stuff is going to sound very similar. But essentially all we're doing is on our 5 chord, let's say we're in the key of C, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we're on our 5 chord, we're going to play a 4 over 5. So the fourth chord would be F major. So we're going to do that right over this chord. And as you can see, we have a G9 sus4. Okay, and that's why I say this is kind of synonymous with sus4 chords or suspended chords, because it gives that type of sound. Okay, and the reason why we call it a G dominant 9 sus4 is because if we were to build this chord out from scratch, if we start off on G, we're going to start with our basic G triad, okay? And then we're going to add in our dominant 7. So normally this would be a major 7. Dominant 7 would be a flat 7. So now we're dominant 7. And then our 9th would be our A, okay? So this is our dominant 9 chord. Now we're going to make it a sus4 by taking this 3rd and moving it to the 4th, okay? And now we have that chord again. Now, as you can see, if I play this in root position, it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finger chord, and it is spreading the distance of a 9th, right? So a lot of people can't play that like that. So the easy shortcut way to do this is to do a major chord a whole step away from the target note. So in this case, the target note is G. That's the type of chord we want. We want some type of G chord. And we're going to play a major chord a whole step below it, right? Right? And that's how we get our G9, G dominant 9 sus4. Now, when I mentioned the 13, if we made this an F major 7 with the added 9th, we get a G dominant 13 sus4. So whether you play a major 9 chord or just a triad, as long as that bass note is as long as the bass note is a whole step above, the chord will be a whole step below the bass note, if you guys understand what I'm talking about there. That's how you get this sound, okay? Now, why would we use this over just a standard 5 chord? All right, as you can hear, the sound is very, very different. All right, so let's say we're just doing a normal 5-1 cadence. That's very, very common. Okay, sounds very final. Okay, but what if we change that 5 chord into our dominant chord? It gives a much more different sound. It gives kind of more like an uplifting, like I want more type of sound. And we can pretty much go anywhere we want if we use this chord instead of a standard 5 chord. Okay, and actually, as you can hear there, we can just pivot back and forth between our dominant 5 chord and our root position 5. You guys have heard that before, right? And all I'm doing there is I'm just walking up with my bass line from that E. And then we can go to our 1. Okay, now whenever we're actually on this dominant 5 chord, it's always good to end on some type of extended chord. So instead of just going from this big dominant chord to a standard C major chord, that sounds kind of corny. So what we want to do is actually go from this chord into, say, like a C major 13, right? C major 7 with a 13, or we can do a C major add 9, or C major 9 in this case, right? Or we can do it to a major 7, right? That sounds really good there. So whenever you're using these extended chords, you really want to make sure that across the board that you're utilizing extended chords that lead well from these dominant chords, okay? Now, again, you can take this to any key, as long as you just remember, whether you're thinking about it in terms of like chords within a key, it's going to be 4/5, right? 4/5. But if you're not particularly in any key and you just want to be able to grab that sound just from looking at your keyboard, then what you want to do is just find any old note. Let's say you want us to do this for E flat. You pick E flat, and then you're going to play a major chord a whole step away from E flat. Remember, a whole step is going to be 2 notes. So here's 1 and there's 2. And that's how you get your E flat 9, your E flat dominant 9 sus4. Okay, so you can take this around the entire keyboard. And one thing that I find is that when you actually go to practice this chord, it's very, very good practice for you to just practice it chromatically, because not only will it help you grab these chord shapes, but also it doesn't sound bad at all. If we just start on G, and we just continue to go down our chord list. So if we're going to F sharp, we're going to play E major in our right hand. Okay, you're just going to keep moving down chromatically. Right? This sounds great. And if you decide to just kind of play around with it and move it up just a little bit and back down, like something kind of like, okay, these are different things that you can do to help you kind of grab some of these chords, grab these shapes, and really, really get them into your musical vocabulary. All right, so that's all that I wanted to show you guys in this video, was just really getting this chord right here. Okay, it's a very, very nice sound, and it's a good chord for you guys to have in your bag. And again, you can use this chord pivoting also between the root position 5 chord. Okay, and another thing that you can also do is, like I said, use it chromatically. And you can use this to get to other keys. All right, that's actually, you know, let's hang on for just one more moment before we end out this video. Key changing is, it can be seen as complicated, but ultimately it's really not. And if you use the circle of fifths, and it's no coincidence that we're talking about the 5, if you use the circle of fifths, you can actually use that to transfer around to different keys that are near each other. Like I can use the 5 of F to move to the key of C, or vice versa. I can go from the key of C back to F, or if I'm in the key of C, I can use the 5 to move to G. Okay, and in some cases, you don't necessarily need to go fully around the circle. I mean, I can go all the way from the key of C to the key of E flat, right? So if I'm in the key of C, go to the 5, back to the 1, back to the 5 of C, then I go to the 5 of E flat, then to the 1. I just use the 5. Back to C, to the 5 of C, to the 1, to the 5 of E flat. Okay, so as you can see, using just this one chord, it'll open up your horizons as far as being able to move through different keys, and not only move through different keys, but make it sound good. So if there was anything in this video that was complicated for you guys, if you didn't quite understand everything, let me know down in the comment section below, or let me know if I need to explain it in a different way for you guys. If you guys liked this video, if it was helpful to you, remember to like and share this video with your friends. But other than that, that's going to be it for today's video. You guys be good, stay blessed, get in the shed, and get back to work.